The King's ultimatum. The interruption came at 3:17 Universal Time, coordinated. Every screen on Earth, phones, holodatables, stadium displays, satellites, even the private links of secured military networks, flickered to black. Then a column of fire split the darkness, forming into an obsidian throne framed by living plasma. The creature seated upon it was massive, armored in jagged black plates that shifted like molten stone. His four eyes, cold and predatory, swept across billions of terrified viewers as if he could see each one personally. "I am Vraxxion the Ascendant," the alien declared, voice resonating like colliding meteors. "King of the Alien Dominion, sovereign of 9 spiral arms. Earth, primitive world, you have been chosen." The word chosen did not sound like praise. "You will surrender all governance and population control to the Dominion within 2 standard cycles. Refusal will result in immediate cleansing of your world and the harvesting of your species. 2 days. Humanity had 48 hours to kneel. Across the globe, chaos erupted. Shouts in command bunkers, screams in city streets, emergency sirens wailing like the world itself was crying out. The broadcast repeated 3 times, then vanished, leaving only silence and millions of pounding hearts. In the subterranean depth of Geneva's Unified Defense Command, world leaders, military chiefs, technocrats, and intelligence analysts stared at each other in stunned paralysis. News feeds on the walls showed panic breaking across megacities. Analysts whispered the same conclusion. Earth had nothing capable of matching the technology displayed in the King's message. His throne room alone radiated energy signatures beyond human science. Then the doors opened. General Helena Strake stepped inside, boots echoing with deliberate, unhurried force. She wore the deep crimson uniform of the Earth Combined Defense, its metals gleaming like burning stars. Her presence cut through the anxiety in the room like a blade. She was not merely respected. She was feared by those who understood what she had survived and what she had ended. "General Strake," the UN Secretary-General said, voice shaking, "we must consider negotiation, a conditional surrender. Perhaps they will allow partial." "No," Helena said. The single syllable stopped the room. "We do not negotiate with conquerors. It only teaches them to return." Several diplomats exchanged looks of horror. A few generals nodded without hesitation. Helena approached the central holodable, replaying the King's ultimatum in grainy red light. "Look at him carefully," she said. On the display, Vraxxion's 4 eyes burned like dying suns. Helena slowed the playback, zooming on micro-gestures, pulse shifts in his armor's glow, subtle movements of secondary mandibles, fluctuations of the throne's plasma arcs. "He's confident," Helena continued. "Too confident. He expects us to fold instantly. He gave us 2 days not because he must, but because he wants spectacle. Conquest is theater," a defense minister whispered. "Based on our scans, his fleet could arrive within 20 hours. We have no counter." Helena turned toward him. Her expression did not waver. "We have counters. Prototype systems kept off record until now. Experimental weapon platforms built under black-budget operations. Technologies the Dominion cannot predict." She tapped commands into the table, revealing schematics of assets most of the room had never seen. Neutrino-threaded armor plating capable of dispersing exotic particle beams. Magnetosphere-amplified graviton pulse mines designed to collapse ship-form warp lanes. A stealth orbital rail cannon, its barrel hidden inside the lunar crust, codenamed Hecate, a weapon that fired at a fraction of light speed. Gasps echoed through the chamber. These systems were incomplete, the Secretary-General said. Untested. Deploying them risks destabilizing half. Deploying them, Helena cut in, is the only chance we have of not being exterminated. Silence returned. This time, no one disagreed. A diplomat finally asked the question everyone avoided. "General, what is your strategic assessment of our survival if we resist?" "Minimal," Helena answered. A tremor of fear swept the room. Then she added, "Unless we make the Dominion understand something fundamental. Which is? Helena switched off the table. In the dim light, her expression hardened with the calm fury of a predator preparing to strike. That we are not prey. She stepped into the center of the room. Her boots clicked sharply against the floor, once, twice, like the heartbeat of a war about to begin. The Alien King gave Earth 2 days to surrender, she said. Her voice was cold, focused, unwavering. But he will not last 2 heartbeats. The words hit the room like an explosion. Some stared at her in disbelief. Others felt something ignite inside them, a long-buried instinct that humans had carried for millennia. The instinct that when survival was threatened, when everything cherished stood on the edge of annihilation, humanity did not kneel. It sharpened its teeth. General Strake, the Secretary General, said quietly, "The world will follow your lead." "What is your first order?" Helena turned back to the holidable and activated Earth's full mobilization protocols. Dozens of lights blinked red as factories, shipyards, and defense arrays came online. Prepare the magnetosphere. Arm the lunar rail cannon. Deploy the Ghost satellite network. She paused. And scramble all intelligence divisions. I want every scrap of data on the Dominion fleet. Several officers saluted and rushed out. Helena remained still, eyes distant, calculating. She had already begun assembling the battlefield in her mind, mapping the trajectories, predicting every move the Dominion would make. As alarms blared and Earth accelerated toward its most desperate war, Helena Strake recorded a private message for her command staff. Her voice was steady, almost serene. The enemy believes they are inevitable. They think humanity is weak, fractured, insignificant. They will learn the truth soon enough. She ended the message with a final line. We are not prey. We are the storm. And with that, humanity's war began. When humans refused to kneel. The next 40 hours passed like a living fever. Every nation on Earth, whether a long-standing superpower or a tiny coastal republic, dropped its internal disputes and accelerated into emergency mobilization. Factories that once produced cars or appliances shifted overnight into building railgun components, armor plating, drone swarms, and missile casings. Streets once lit by neon signs now glowed with the orange flash of welding torches and the burning urgency of a species preparing for war. General Helena Strake oversaw it all from the orbital command platform Dauntless, a station that had not been fully activated in decades, until now. Its corridor lights vibrated with fresh power. Its sensors woke with predatory focus. Earth had turned on its full war machine, and Helena intended to make every second count. "Status on the Lunar Shield Network?" she asked as she strode into the tactical chamber. 74% operational, replied Colonel Ishan Rahman. The final grid nodes are being anchored on the Sea of Serenity. Estimated full capacity in 4 hours. Good, Helena said. The Dominion won't wait, and neither will we. Screens around her showed a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. Red blips, enemy formations, were approaching in a converging spear formation from the outer edges of the Kuiper Belt. Dominion ships were enormous, elegant, and cruelly shaped like obsidian blades cutting through the darkness. They were coming fast, and there were many. The Xylarian Dominion War Council. Light years away aboard the Imperial Dreadnought, enemy commanders gathered around their own holomap. Their claws tapped against the table as they observed Earth's frantic mobilization. Pathetic, hissed Commander Velther. They prepare defenses suited for rival tribes, not Dominion fleets. Do not underestimate them, said strategist Kelt. The king demands total compliance. They refuse. That alone makes them unusual. Unusual, yes. Dangerous. Unlikely, the council believed. But Helena intended to correct their perception. Earth's first countermove. We're ready for deployment, said Chief Engineer Maya Torres as she arrived on the command deck. The Ghost satellites are fully cloaked. They'll track hyperspace ruptures before the Dominion drops into real space. And the mines? Helena asked. A slow, satisfied smile crept across the engineer's face. Graviton pulse mines placed exactly where you predicted their escort ships will enter. Once the Dominion scouts break hyperspace, Their hulls will tear apart from inside. Perfect. Helena turned. Launch. Human vessels, fast, lean, designed under the philosophy that speed and precision were worth more than brute alien armor, moved into motion, flinging cloaked devices into the void. The trap was set. Broadcast to the galaxy. At hour 31, Helena authorized the one message Earth's resistance would send before the fighting began. A calm blue light filled the command center. Cameras hovered into position. Officers straightened. The room held its breath. Helena stood unmoving, her hair bound tight, her uniform sharp enough to cut, her eyes cold as void. She spoke only one sentence. Alien King Vraxxion, you threaten my world. Now I'm coming for yours. Across the Dominion, shock waves rippled. Species long enslaved whispered to each other in underground networks. A human woman challenges the throne? Who are these creatures? Others laughed nervously. Some prayed. Some cheered. Earth's message traveled faster than any ship. And it hit harder than any weapon, because no conquered world had ever dared to speak to the king like that. Flashback. Why Helena fights. Later, alone in her quarters, Helena allowed a moment of stillness. Just a moment. On her desk was a small, hollow picture of her parents, smiling on a sunlit pier on the Mediterranean coast. A time before pirate raiders destroyed the city. A time before she learned that mercy to tyrants was suicide. She remembered hiding under the dock, listening to alien marauders discuss the value of humans as though they were livestock. She remembered the silence afterward. Resolve hardened in her. Appeasement was death. Submission was death. Only resistance, unyielding, unbroken, allowed dignity. And now Earth had a chance to prove it on a galactic scale. The first battle. Admiral called out a sensor officer from the pit. Hyperspace rupture detected near Neptune. Dominion Vanguard incoming. Activate the ghost web, Helena ordered. Invisible drones lit up across the dark like hunting wolves. Real space shimmered as Dominion scout ships tore out of hyperspace and into the kill zone Helena had crafted. The mines detonated. The shock waves weren't explosions, they were distortions, bending gravity itself. Dominion ships screamed as their hulls crumpled inward, as if crushed by an invisible giant. Colonel Ramon stared at the screen. General, 3 escort destroyers obliterated in 20 seconds. 4th is crippled. Finish it, Helena said. Railgun satellites fired molten tungsten slugs at near-relativistic speed. The final Dominion scout ship fragmented into drifting shards. Earth's first victory. The command center exploded into cheers before Helena lifted a hand, just slightly. Silence returned at once. Celebrate later, she said. This was only the beginning. The aliens react. Aboard the Dominion flagship, Captain Velther's eyes widened. They destroyed the Vanguard? How? Strategist Kelt whispered, unsettled. We misjudged them. The king, watching from his throne, narrowed his eyes. Then send more ships. Turn their moon to ash. Helena smiles. On Dauntless, Helena watched the Dominion regroup. She didn't panic. She didn't flinch. She simply smiled. A small, sharp expression that unsettled every officer who saw it. Let them come, she said. For the first time in their empire's history, they're about to learn what humans do when cornered. And Earth, united in defiance, prepare to show the galaxy why humanity had never been easy prey. The war that shocked the galaxy. The sky above Earth changed color long before the first Dominion warship descended into view. Civilians stood on rooftops and hilltops across continents, staring upward as the blue heavens dimmed into a warped, shimmering violet. Clouds bent into unnatural spirals, forming glowing rings like the eye of some cosmic predator. The Dominion had arrived in full. On the bridge of the battlecruiser ECS Vengeance, General Helena Strake watched the anomaly unfold without a flicker of fear. Her officers were tense, pale, their hands gripping consoles as alarms screamed warnings of quantum tears and incoming mass signatures. Helena remained still, coiled power contained behind an expression as hard as tempered steel. Mass displacement rising. We count 2,000 signatures emerging, Commander Ria Takeda reported, voice cracking despite her discipline. Helena nodded once. Phase 3. And calm your breathing, Commander. This is the moment we were made for. Ria inhaled sharply and steadied. Helena had that effect. Her composure was a gravity field. When she spoke, panic died. Space split open. The first Dominion carrier tore through like a monstrous black wing, shedding arcs of violet lightning. Then came cruisers, destroyers, bioengineered leviathans wrapped in chitin armor, and dreadnoughts so large they eclipsed the sun from orbit. Earth's night side brightened with the burning reflections of an invading armada. The comms officer swallowed. General, they outnumber us 12-1. Helena didn't blink. That only means we don't have to look for targets. A few officers chuckled nervously. A few meant it. The Dominion fleet deployed into a spearhead formation, thousands of ships spreading like a mechanized plague. Their command ship, the Judgment of Vraxxion, floated at the rear, pulsing with crimson power, its hull adorned with the sigils of conquered worlds. Even at a distance, its aura radiated arrogance. A transmission arrived, a distorted voice, dripping contempt. Humanity, kneel now and be allowed to live under chains. Resist, and we will erase your oceans, your sky, your name. Helena smiled a small, cold smile. Return transmission, she ordered. The officer nodded, tapping controls. Channel open. Helena leaned forward slightly. This is General Helena Strake of Earth. You have mistaken silence for submission. You have mistaken patience for fear. She paused, her voice lowered into something lethal. And you have mistaken us for prey. On the Dominion side, several alien officers flinched at her tone. She could see their reactions through intercepted tactical feeds. The King's forces were confident, but they were not expecting defiance with teeth. The moment the transmission ended, Helena turned. Fire Hecate. From the lunar far side, the Hecate rail cannon awakened. For years, nations argued over funding it. For months, Helena fought to complete it. For hours, it had been silently tracking the strongest Dominion shields. Now it fired, a streak of condensed kinetic power, traveling at a fraction of light speed, crossed the void and punched through a Dominion cruiser like a bullet through wet paper. The ship shattered, spiraling into debris within a second. Gasps filled the Vengeance's bridge. Dominion comms exploded with shouts. Helena's voice remained steady. Reload. The Dominion adjusted quickly, shifting into evasive patterns. Their response was immediate and brutal. Hundreds of their warships discharged beams of annihilation, dark matter lances, and corrosive plasma streams toward Earth's defense network. Helena raised her hand. All shields, polarization Delta 3. Antarctica Prism Array, fire. On the southern hemisphere, the Prism Array powered on, releasing a cascade of refracted beams that split and multiplied across the sky. Dominion attacks struck the polarized barrier, bent, refracted, and ricocheted back, tearing apart the front line of their own armada. The galaxy watched in shock. Alien civilizations across thousands of systems, tuned in to Dominion broadcasts expecting to see Earth crumble, instead saw humans standing against the impossible and winning the opening round. Reports from neutral species flooded the networks. The humans fight like cornered stars. No prey has ever wounded the Dominion this deeply. Something ancient awakens in them. Helena paid no attention to the commentary. She focused solely on the battlefield. Ghost Wing's status? She asked. Ghost Wing is in position behind the Dominion flank, replied her tactical officer. Invisible to all scans. Awaiting your command. Ghost Wing, Earth Stealth Fighter Division, was her idea. Experimental, dangerous, barely combat tested. But Helena trusted her pilots. Released the swarm. Far from the main battle, 200 stealth fighters dropped cloak and descended like a storm of silent daggers. They targeted Dominion engine cores, the weak spot Helena had identified from subtle heat signatures in earlier encounters. Within seconds, dozens of Dominion ships lost propulsion and collided with their own fleet in a chain reaction of implosions. The Dominion vanguard collapsed into chaos. But then the galaxy shuddered. A new shadow emerged. Massive, angular, radiating pulses strong enough to scramble Earth sensors. The royal dreadnought Ultharion. Helena's eyes narrowed. So the king sends his hammer. The dreadnought began charging a superweapon, an antimatter beam capable of slicing a planet in half. Earth trembled. Officers panicked. Some prayed. Helena Strake simply said, "Bring us in close." The Vengeance roared forward. Her officers stared at her in disbelief. "General, that thing will cut us apart." Helena locked her harness. "That is why we will not give it the chance." The Vengeance dove along the dreadnought's hull, skimming inches from armor, evading weapon tracks by instinct and prediction. Helena read the dreadnought's movement like she was reading a familiar opponent. Magnetic anchors deploy. Anchors fired, clamping onto the dreadnought's outer plating. "Plant the package," Helena ordered. A neutrino bomb launched, embedding into the dreadnought's structural seam. "Detonate." The world flashed white. The Ultharion split apart in a brilliant explosion that shook lunar dust free thousands of miles away. The Dominion fleet froze in disbelief. Their unstoppable hammer was gone. Helena exhaled once. Next target. But before her officers could respond, every remaining Dominion ship parted like a sea of metal horror, and the Obsidian Crown, King Vraxxion's personal flagship, emerged from behind them. A fortress the size of Small Moon. His voice boomed across every channel. "Human, present yourself for execution." On the Vengeance's bridge, Helena smiled. "2 heartbeats," she whispered, and the battle entered its final act. 2 heartbeats. The Obsidian Crown filled the sky like a dark sun, its armor plates glistening with the reflected fires of battle. Even from orbit, the colossal flagship radiated the oppressive presence of a war god. General Helena Strake stood on the command deck of the Vengeance, hands clasped behind her back, watching the enemy Titan descend into range. "All batteries charged, General," her weapons officer reported. "But that thing's shield signatures are off the scale." "They always are," Helena replied calmly. "Nothing is impossible to break, only difficult." Outside the viewport, the remnants of the Dominion fleet scattered in disarray. Hundreds of warships lay burning, drifting, or disintegrating in silent explosions, evidence of Earth's impossible defiance. But now the battle's true heart approached. King Vraxxion had entered the field personally, bringing with him the power to erase continents with a single order. A holographic projection shimmered to life in front of Helena. King Vraxxion stood tall in the image, his body draped in obsidian armor, his crown burning like a miniature star. "Human," he growled, his voice a quake of contempt, "you have irritated me long enough. Present yourself for execution, or watch your world die screaming." Helena's lip lifted in a faint, amused smile. "You gave Earth 2 days to surrender," she said. "But I told you the truth. You won't last 2 heartbeats." The king snarled and cut the channel. The Vengeance shuddered as the Obsidian Crown fired its first volley, a beam of compressed stellar plasma. Shields flared white-hot. Metal screamed. The deck trembled. Officers gripped their stations as alarms howled. "Shields at 59%. We can't take another direct hit." Helena didn't flinch. "We won't have to. Initiate Operation Grimoire." Her crew hesitated only long enough to exchange a nervous glance, then obeyed. Across the system, on the far side of Jupiter, dozens of dormant probes came alive. Devices Helena had quietly launched months earlier, back when the Dominion was still only a rumor. They formed a lattice, synchronized their cores, and unleashed a single, monstrous gravitic pulse. Space itself folded. A gravitational singularity burst into existence behind the Obsidian Crown, catching the massive vessel in its sudden, ravenous pull. The flagship convulsed as if struck by an invisible hand, its shields flickering, its engines growling in protest. "Singularity stability at 20 seconds, Helena's science officer shouted. "That's all we get. It's enough." Helena stepped forward, eyes hard, voice absolute. "Prepare the micro-wink jump." Right into the throne chamber. An audible ripple of shock passed through the bridge. General, that's suicide. It's victory, Helena corrected. Execute. The vengeance vanished and reappeared inside the heart of the obsidian crown. The world snapped into chaos. The ship's hull groaned as it materialized within an alien megastructure, its landing claws biting into obsidian flooring. Smoke billowed. Sparks rained. Gravity stabilized. Helena didn't wait. She strode down the deployment ramp with her strike team behind her. The throne chamber rose like a cathedral of shadows, pillars carved from centuries of conquest, banners of worlds long fallen. And at its center, King Vraxxion himself. He towered, 3 meters tall, muscles like braided steel, for arms gripping a war scepter crackling with energy. "You dare invade my throne?" he roared. "You dared threaten my world," Helena replied. He lunged. The strike team scattered as the king's scepter slammed into the ground, sending a shockwave that shattered stone. Helena moved like a blade of wind, sliding under his sweeping arm, pulse blade igniting with a brilliant white flare. The first heartbeat. She slashed upward, slicing through the armor on his forearm. Alien blood hissed into the air. The king recoiled with a bellow of disbelief. "You insignificant!" The second heartbeat. Helena closed the distance, driving her blade straight into the king's central heart. The glowing weapon pierced armor, flesh, and bone. Vraxxion's body spasmed. His forearms thrashed. The chamber's flames dimmed. The king of the Dominion collapsed to his knees, staring down at the human who dared defy him. Helena met his gaze without triumph, without fear, only truth. "I told you," she said quietly, 2 heartbeats. Vraxxion fell, the impact echoing like the collapse of an empire. Across the battlefield, Dominion ships faltered. Without the king's mind-link command, their coordination shattered. Slave races, long oppressed, turned their guns on their captors. Mutinies erupted in waves. Entire battalions surrendered. Earth's forces pressed the final charge. Within hours, the Dominion armada broke apart completely. Helena and her surviving officers stood in the silent throne chamber as the obsidian crown groaned under structural failure. The battle was over. The impossible had been done. "General," her comms officer said softly, "Earth is asking for a message." Helena looked toward the stars, toward her battered but unbroken world. "Put me through." Every screen on Earth lit up with her face, soot-streaked, blood-marked, calm as stone. "The Dominion has fallen," she announced. "Earth kneels to no throne. Not today. Not ever." Around the world, and across dozens of newly liberated alien worlds, cheers rose like storms. Humanity had not merely survived. It had changed the galaxy forever.